You know, during this now year-long drought of editorials, I had pretty much finished the script about Crunchyroll and its relation to other competing streaming platforms. And if I had released it at the time, I'd have probably tipped a lot of you off to some of Crunchyroll's current practices. But now isn't then, and while the issues I talked about in that script are still issues to this day, there are a few new dimensions to address. So take this video as a kinda super passionate act of YouTube vandalism. While I'm going to try my best to cite sources, I'm not a journalist. I'm a prick with a microphone and opinions. There's just too many topics nobody has even touched upon in a video, and it's about time someone did it. So in the words of cosplay waifu and longtime friend of the show, Meg Turney, we're doing Crunchyroll. Part 1, competition can kill. In that now never to be published video, my core thesis was that unlike other streaming platforms such as Amazon Prime Video, Netflix and Hulu, Crunchyroll presents itself as the anime streaming platform. If CR were to tell it, the other guys have anime, but Crunchyroll for the most part is anime. And K-dramas, but no one actually watches those. See, that's all well and good, but this is a double-edged sword. Amazon can afford to dabble in a streaming service that has a 2-tier paywall because it's flipping Amazon. The man who owns that company has a net worth several times larger than the view count of Gangnam Style. And nobody is going to really fall out of faith with Netflix over scooping up good shows and taking them out of the regular seasonal streaming rotation, because anime fans are not and will never be the primary audience that Netflix is going for. But Crunchyroll? Crunchyroll's entire brand is being the hip new super online centric youth oriented anime funhouse. And that's perfectly fine, especially since they've proven to have a really keen understanding of social media and how to utilize online influencers. But the fact of the matter is, Crunchyroll is the only company that has anything tangible to lose if they are unable to meet the viewing demands of the general anime watching public. And while I'm very sure they'd love to be seen as the coolest kids in the room who truly get the modern weeb audience they've worked so hard to build, the recent developments in the community really do mean that the Orange Circle could easily lose a lot of good faith with the audience that they need it with the most. Part 2, the guilt trip. The history of Crunchyroll is, in essence, a company with very dubious claims to legitimacy trying harder and harder to scrub off the smell of piracy and stolen subtitles off of its old laundry. And once again, ain't nothing wrong with doing a little spring cleaning, but where it gets a bit disingenuous is when it comes to the continued proliferation of illegal streaming amongst anime fans. For a large portion of non-Japanese anime consumers, illegal streaming is still very high on go-to options. It's easy, it's a guaranteed way to get every show you want to watch as soon as you want with no monetary charge, and most importantly, before anything else, it's a habit. Watching anime illegally is a habit that a lot of people pick up in their early teens, and as far as those fans are concerned, anime was free in middle school and they aren't about to start paying for it just because you dangle some intangible concept of the anime industry dying in front of their faces. You can call it entitlement, that's perfectly fine, but tell me, dear paragon of virtuous industry supporting internet cartoon streaming, how does this sound to you?
I know you've been doing this slightly illegal thing for the better part of a decade, and there's really no immediate ramifications if you keep doing it, but you should pay for a streaming service that does the exact same thing without a guarantee of being able to see all the shows you want, because if you keep not paying for said service, there's a possibility that anime won't be around when your kids are born.
Morality is the absolute last thing any entertainment business should rely on to sell their product. Because, as Kadokawa displayed a while back, these businesses aren't all that moral to begin with. We're not donating to Hurricane Harvey survivors. We're discussing cartoons slaved away on in Japan by underpaid, malnourished college students living with their parents. And as Digi keeps saying, there's no way to get money directly into the hands of those folks outside of maybe a Patreon or some private donation, or actually by supporting the Animated Dormitory Project. Go do that. Because despite popular misdirection, none of the streaming services mentioned so far in this video directly support the anime industry. Actually, fun fact, there used to be a streaming service that was a joint venture between various production companies in Japan, and it even used some of its profits to help their animation studios. But it's dead now because Daisuke had a shit video encoder. Everyone has their reasons for piracy. But to be honest, you can't blame the pirates for pirating if you don't make your product better than piracy. Let's actually do a little experiment. Here are both the front pages of Crunchyroll and Kiss Anime. Can you spot any big differences? Trick question. Aside from Crunchyroll trying to shill CRX, there aren't that many. Functionally, both of these sites are almost identical, which is a bad thing. One is free, gives you any show you want with nothing but a click, and the other is behind a monthly $7 paywall. Crunchyroll demands too much from its consumers to be nothing more than a $7 origin skin for Kiss Anime.
With less shows, mind you.
Now let's take a look at a platform that Crunchyroll wants nothing more than to be: Netflix. Aside from being all killer no filler, there's a lot Netflix does to make its user experience better than its competition. What's this? Movies and shows recommended directly for me? A section of unfinished episodes so I can pick up where I left off? I'm not saying changing their UI is the only ticket to beating out pirates, but it's a start. Take some other ideas from Netflix too. I think it's pretty obvious that people are sharing their accounts with friends and family, and Netflix caught onto that shit pretty fast. So why not implement a multi-user feature for accounts that have more than one person? That way I can stop seeing all the episodes of Abunai Sisters my cousin's been watching. Part 3, the big brunch. So a couple days ago, at the time of writing this, CR announced that they're making a new show. Technically, this isn't the first original show they've been a part of. LaShawn Thomas did do that Children of Ether O&A one-shot thingy, but I guess this is the first original project of theirs that's considered a Crunchyroll original. And personally, I don't have a problem with it. It looks like Steven Universe ripoff. Just looks like the type of thing that, you know, the kinds of people who enjoy those types of shows are in, you know, definitely gonna be in for. I have no personal hill to die on. Don't blast me as an anti-SJW just because I'm making this video right around the time when a lot of people are making videos against Crunchyroll. This isn't scripted, by the way. This is just me trying to cover my base. Not to mention, they're also coming up on the second year of the Crunchyroll Expo, their convention down in California that's looking to see a fairly sizable turnout. So good for them. What's happening is obvious. Within the time I wrote that script I mentioned earlier and now, Crunchyroll has figured out what they need to do to be viewed as the kind of company that people want to support. The Anime Awards, CR Expo, producing a new anime, the various pieces of in-house content they already do. Crunchyroll is looking to expand and become a bigger and bigger platform that does bigger and bigger things with its big level of clout. But I think you're all forgetting a not so insignificant factor. Everything I said in part 2 is still true. If Crunchyroll wants to clean up their image and become some kind of multimedia titan, then they should at least make the core part of the Crunchyroll experience, watching anime, as enjoyable as possible. At this point, nobody's even asking you to feed the animators because we know there's not a viable option for you to stay profitable. But at some point, if you don't die before you get there, you'll have the industry sway to start demanding things from your Japanese partners. And maybe one of those things could be negotiating better wages for the people who make the cartoons your owners are getting stinking rich off of. Part 4. Y'all some hoes. Okay. That's not fair to anyone. Part 4. Y'all really some hoes. Am I, the guy who leaves for months and in today's case years at a time without making videos, about to dedicate a portion of his first video back to ragging on his contemporaries? Nigga, it wouldn't be a NineOuh video if I didn't. So guys, not saying any names, except Mother's Basement. We all know you're one of them. You know yourselves. The rest of you know yourselves. Y'all are to blame for this. I'd say we are to blame for this, but it's my first day back, so I don't gotta be responsible for shit. What I'm getting at is that YouTube is a primary platform where discourse and dissemination of all things anime takes place. And believe me, the suits and ties all the way up at Elation know this. It's why everyone and their mother has a Crunchyroll affiliate code. That's why your favorite YouTubers keep showing up at Crunchyroll sponsored events. It's because they know you, yes, you, the person watching this video, trust these folks. YouTubers are an important part of today's modern day anime landscape. They're the voices of the community, and whatever stances they hold sway millions of viewers towards whichever anime they choose. How are we, as the, and please don't misinterpret me saying this, How are we as the anime intelligentsia supposed to be taken any level of serious when a bunch of our largest figures have open working relationships with one of the major distributors of anime? An example of how this is shaking out is what happened last year with Anime Strike and Netflix. Folks were super quick to call out the failings of both of those companies, whilst leaving a certain one absolutely conspicuously absent. Obviously, it couldn't have been because Crunchyroll had no issues, because we're over 1,600 words into the script and I still haven't even touched upon everything. Part 5. Wrap it up now. Look, in the case that you think I'm being unfair, I'd implore you to take the following information under consideration. If Crunchyroll wants people to stop speaking ill about their practices and how silly their recent moves have been, it would do a lot of good to be a bit more transparent with their customers about the moves and directions that the platform is taking. Because at the moment, and I'd hate to be the bearer of bad news to anyone who hasn't figured this out yet, but Crunchyroll doesn't seem to have any interest in improving its core service because they've got conventions to run, Steven Universe ripoffs to fund, and a whole bunch of starving animators in Japan to pretend to care about. And on top of all that, Verve. But that's for another video. As it stands right now, I personally think I'm ready to be about done with Crunchyroll. Every season they get less and less shows I'm interested in, and it doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. Their mobile and console apps are completely trash in comparison to the competition, and at this point I'd advocate piracy over paying for a Crunchyroll subscription. In fact, part 6! Pirate everything. Pirate everything. Stop paying for Crunchyroll. Buy merchandise and send donations to Trigger's Patreon or the Animated Dormitory Project if you want to support the industry. Sayonara, actually, nah. Deuces!